All right, everyone, come on in, come on in. Thank you all so much for being here. Let me take the music down. All right. All right, everyone, come on in, come on in. Shout yourself out. For anybody new here, hi, I am Maggie, and we are the Wise Club. We've got Lisa in the house. How are you doing tonight, Lisa?
Much better, much
Good.
better.
I'm happy to hear that. So the Wives Club was started in the Kevin Samuels Patreon. In 2021, I booked a session with the late, great Kevin Samuels, and it wasn't for me. It was because I really wanted to give back. And every time I would hear him say, "Where are the older women to teach the young?" it did something to me. So we started out in the Patreon, and then we moved over to the Mix. And now, coming up on a year, we have been here on YouTube. We're also streaming on Facebook and Twitter. So tonight we're going to do a reaction video to one of the segments in Kevin Samuels' stream last week. It was called, I think it was called The Godfather's Advice. So this was a stream that was put together, a collection of several different episodes. And there was one section that stood out to me, and I tried to take some notes and put them in the description. But if you all know Kevin, he always talked about a high value man, as well as the hit squad, as well as the Henrys, as well as all kinds of different kinds of men. But I know a lot of people were curious, well, what's the equivalent, right? What is a high value woman, if there is such a thing? So he landed on several characteristics, and he called them I took some notes here, the high demand woman. So what is a woman that's in high demand? So I'd love to know what you all think. We're going to go through the ones that I captured and give a little example from our own experience. And then if you all want to join the conversation, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. You can also, I'm going to drop it here. If you want to talk to us live, you can chat cameras on or cameras off. So a little bit about me, and then I'll let Lisa introduce herself, and then we'll get started. So I am a former wife of 10 years. I met my ex-husband at 18. He was my college boyfriend, married at 25, and I was married for 10 years, had 2 boys from the marriage. But I always raise my hand and say I got caught up in that modern woman mindset that we're equal. Men and women can do everything, anything, until unfortunately I hit the wall, and the marriage did end in divorce. But we do co-parent really well, so I'm grateful for that. Since that divorce, my second relationship is now going on 12 years. And my second relationship is with what we would consider kind of a 1% man, which means I've had to do a lot of work to get on the program. And I've done a lot to improve. And I've never been happier. But this is what I like to share with women who are interested in the same. Lisa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa. I am a current wife of 18 years. I'm there. I am married to a blue-collar Henry, military veteran, hardworking guy, and I am a happy housewife and a mother to a 5-year-old daughter in kindergarten. And the way I kind of describe my marriage is because I got married at 26 to my husband, and he was what Kevin, or our marriage, or I don't know how he described it, but he said we were like, what's that store where everything comes in boxes in a million pieces? One of those startup. Well, anyway, he would say that's what we were. Got kind of
IKEA.
met my husband. What do you call it?
IKEA marriage.
IKEA marriage. Yeah. So we just kind of built it as we grew along, and so we kind of started off. I wouldn't say we started off with nothing, but we started off small, and we just moved along, moved along, moved along. 18 years later, we're doing pretty darn good for a housewife, I guess. So, but I'm just happy to be back and discuss more of Kevin's topics. I'm excited about today's topic and the new video we got released by his YouTube. So let's get into it.
All right, absolutely. Okay, so you guys can sit back and relax. We'll take our turns here, and we always just share from our own personal experience. You know, I am an older woman at 47, so I've been through some things, and I love to give back. So that's what we do here. And so thankfully, Kevin's estate has got his channel back up and running. So we are going to be here every week responding to the content. Okay, so let me go over to our notes. So hopefully you all had a chance to watch it. I did put the link in the description if you want to watch it. But towards the end of the stream, and it was called The Godfather's Advice, I have 7 things listed here. And if I missed something, I would love for someone to share. So 7 qualities that Kevin called out. The first one I have is cooperative. So we'll talk a little bit about this, and then we'll just bounce back and forth. So, you know, I know there's a lot that goes into the term, submission, but one of the ways that Kevin described it is respectful cooperation, right? And cooperating just means, to me, and what I've had to learn is going with the flow and being a team and working together. I learned the hard way that in relationships, you know, someone has to lead, and we are traditional here, so we believe that men lead. And, you know, of course, as women, we offer our opinions if asked or consulted, but we leave final decisions, you know, to our men, if that's the type of traditional relationship that you want. And I've had to learn, you know, I've shared in some of my other streams, you know, in my relationship now, I don't know everything, and I don't have to know everything, and I don't need to know everything. If you've chosen wisely and you pick a good one and you are able to happily submit to his leadership, there's very few things that need to be, I wouldn't even say an argument or contentious or, you know, disagreeable. Sometimes just saying okay and trusting, it's hard to do, but it is a muscle that we can flex. And it gives, when you put your faith and your trust, you know, in the man that you chose to be with, I think, and I'm not a man, men, you can shout out, it gives them they understand the gravity of the situation, that their woman is dependent on him, on them. And so I think they really take decision making more seriously, as opposed to, okay, yeah, whatever you want to do. You know, I'm just tired of talking about it. I'm tired of arguing about it. So that is what cooperation is to me. Lisa, what do you say about cooperation?
Mute myself. Cooperation. That was one of the first ones we talked about, their mindset. Why can't I find it on my list? I got my list out of order. Okay, let's see. Cooperation. Well, you got to be, you got to know how to cooperate. You got to know how to cooperate out in the work world. So if you're not going to cooperate with your spouse, then who wants to be around that? I think he said also, you know, the mindset helps with the cooperation, and I think he gave us some other ones. So we're going down your list, right, Meg? Of the mindset, the
Mm-hmm.
agreeability, and the cooperation. Yeah. And he also talked about smart. So um, the cooperation is very important, because just like it's like when you work at teams at work, if you're not cooperable, if you can't get along with everybody, nobody's going to want to work with you, and neither is your man. So um, I think we have examples of that every day online of women who don't want to be cooperative. So really, if you want to win, you want to be the opposite of what you see is going on and what's going wrong. And men will tell you, they get online all the time and say this is not what they want. They do these Instagrams and YouTube videos all day long. So you watch and see what they're saying, and you see the bad behavior. If you're not cooperative, then put yourself ahead of give yourself an advantage and say, okay, I don't need to act that way. But I think, like he said, it's part of the mindset. And you know, if that's your goal to be married and find someone who you got to be able to work with them. So that's what I have for cooperative.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And you brought up a couple that I missed. You talked about mindset and being agreeable. So I'll just speak to those a little bit. Would love to know what you all have to say in the chat as well. And then if there's anything else that you wanted to add, Lisa, please do. So let's start with the mindset. So Kevin was going down this list, and I was trying to capture the notes. So one of the things that always used to strike me when women would call into Kevin's show and he would ask them, but are you a wife? And I would always get confused about that. And I'm thinking, why are you asking her that? Of course she's not a wife, right? She wants to be a wife. That's why she's reaching out to you. However, what I soon learned is that being a wife requires a marriage mindset. And you're already operating in that mindset before a man finds you and chooses you to be his wife. And I think that's definitely a perspective that a lot of we women miss. We think, I will become a wife when, I will become submissive when, I will get on his program when. And then when doesn't happen, a lot of us are scratching our head because it's just like, why isn't anybody choosing me? So, ladies, that mindset means that some things are in scope for you. Take my project manager hat off, and some things are out of scope for you. If you wouldn't do this when you were somebody's wife, I would advise don't do it now. If you wouldn't post that picture, if you wouldn't have that second or third shot, if you wouldn't hang around this group when you were Mrs. So and so, don't do it now. Go ahead and apply that marriage mindset so that when the man of your dreams sees you, you're already walking as the type of wife that would be in high demand. So Lisa mentioned mindset and then agreeability. This one is huge. Ladies, I don't think we realize how men, I don't want to use the word struggle, and I'm not a man, so I can't speak for men, but the world that they live in is difficult. There's so much that's a burden on them just every day, especially in our community. And, I've shared with you all, I'm a boy mom, two teenagers. And so I'm seeing the transformation now. No man wants to come home to a contentious woman, right? That's even biblical if that's what you believe. But having to have that last word, having to get that last dig in, having to say, well, are you sure? Having to question everything that they do, it wears on anyone. So be very selective. Our words are so powerful. You can lift up and you can tear down. Now, of course, if you have a question or if you have a concern, I would advise, ladies, I do consults outside of this. And so I was telling one of my consults today, this is not a good time to bring your concern up. He's getting ready to travel or has a big project or deadline or whatever. Study your man, right? Kevin used to tell us that. Wait and make sure that he's in a good space. And how do you know? You can ask him. Ask him first. Is now a good time to talk? There's a couple of things that I would like to, share with you, and get right to the point, and then let the man ask you for clarifying questions. So just that agreeability just goes a long way with just being selective about what you want to share with your man. So those are a couple things that I wanted to say about mindset and being agreeable, and then we will keep going around. Lisa, I'm going to come back to you, and I see Hermisha in the back. Hermisha has joined us. Lisa, did you want to add anything about the mindset or being agreeable?
No, I think mindset. Let's see, because we're going to go into the different ones. But that's where he started, so I'm fine. I'm good with that. Hey,
All right.
Armisha.
Hermisha's in the house. Hermisha, I don't know if you heard, we were reacting to that latest episode, The Godfather's Advice, and he was talking about the high demand woman. So far, we've talked about mindset, agreeability, and cooperation. What would you share with those?
Yes, those are the very famous list of the high demand woman. And I appreciate what he was saying on that. A lot of folks know about the high value man, and he often clarified that he never came up with that term. He just really elaborated it and gave it more spunk, if you will, and laid it out. A lot of folks think that's equivalent to a high demand woman, and that's not the case. Let me back up. High value woman is not synonymous, because I love how he mentioned that, you can just go on Instagram, for example, and see a woman that's desirable, if you will. She looks appealing. She looks like she has it all together on the outward. Now, granted, that'll get you in the door, but that's not going to allow you to stay inside the house. Not going to allow you to stay in the mansion, or whatever the situation, if you run with that analogy, right? It's going to be the inner qualities of that woman that makes her more high demand. And I don't know if you guys hit on all of it. I think I left off of listening on the cooperation piece. Cooperation is, it's a character trait. And I think that a lot of us as women, and myself included, coming as I represent as a former wife, reviewing ways where I wasn't as cooperative as I thought I was, and learning what cooperation really looks like in a relationship. Even in relationships, your peer relationships, are you always the one that always have to have the way? No, we want to eat at this restaurant and do this type of thing. Or are you flexible? Are you able to go with the flow? Or are you very rigid? Is it your way or the highway? Right. So cooperation, really, at the end of the day, at least how I conceptualize it, is, you have a heart of humility, where you think of how I want to say this. You are considerate of others. You're considerate of, and that can be applicable in your friendships, right? Because if I'm considerate, I may have my perspective, or my opinion, or my preference, rather. But you know what? This person has a preference too, and I'm going to consider that. And you know what? I'm gonna be humble enough to just go with that. I don't have to die on that heel, if you will, right? So there's a flow of flexibility, where you're able to love that person in that way of being cooperative. So that's what I would say on that. I think in relationships, for myself, and I'm learning. I'm not dating or seeing anyone, but just preparing, because I'm not trying to be out here single forever. I desire to remarry. I really do. And I would say that what I'm seeing, that a man who values a woman with that type of character trait, that's a beautiful thing, and it shows that when you can cooperate with a man, it shows that you trust that man, it shows that you love that man, and it shows that you want to keep that man. So that's what I would say on that.
I love it. Thank you so much, Hermisha. We're going to move on to the next one on my list. It is fitness. This is a struggle bus issue for me, but we can't back away from it just because it's difficult. But another character trait that Kevin had on the high demand woman is fitness. And ladies, it's important. And I raise my hand to say, this is not something that I've done really well with. I know just trying to do everything and being in that masculine role and working in the commute and ripping and running in the kids and in and out of the drive-through, just trying to do everything that we weren't meant to do. And I don't make any excuses for it. I'm responsible for what I put in my mouth. But I know the stress of just doing that, you just get to a point where you don't care, right? Or that was me. I'll speak from my own experience. And then you just eat whatever. And I can also say, humbly, that I bought into the lie, that, some of us are big boned, or, some of that stuff that we've talked about. BMI is BMI. And there's, of course, different shapes and whatnot. But if you're overweight, you're overweight. It's something that I'll always have to be mindful of for the rest of my life. So ladies, especially young ladies, Kevin used to say, don't let it get out of control. There's no reason why in your youth, so many of us are overweight and obese. You can do something about it. I try every day. Some days are better than others. But I remember thinking, I have all these other good qualities, there's more than just, having, a perfect body. And it's not about perfection, but it is about being disciplined and knowing when to say enough is enough. And it kind of bleeds over into other areas too. So I'm glad that Kevin called it out. We have to be reminded, especially in our community, this is something that a lot of us, and I'll be the first one to hold up my hand and say, we haven't prioritized. And, I share in other spaces that, I always had a weight problem, and then the weight problem turned into a health problem as I aged. So now I'm working on it because it became serious. But don't do like I did. Don't even let it become a weight problem. It's so much easier to maintain. You can lose, but if you don't have to, stay on top of it. It's important to men. And if you want to have the man of your dreams, how you look is going to be important to him. All right, we'll take another lap around. Lisa, what do you want to say about fitness?
Ooh, there we go. Okay, for fitness, I like what he said about fitness. He was talking about discipline, dedication, and discernment. And when he was talking about it, I was thinking about stuff like I remember my husband telling me a few years after we got married, I started putting on pounds because I was happy and all that. And he was like, I remember when we met, you were dancing and exercising, and we were going to the gym together and running and stuff. And he started to slowly start reminding me of stuff like that. So, and that's what guys are looking for. They're already seeing that you have that discipline. Not to say anything's wrong with losing it due to whatever happens once you're together or married, kids or whatever, stress. But for me, that wasn't my excuse, or not that I needed an excuse. It was just, I guess I was just really happy and just wanted to eat. But I kind of looked back and I was like, yeah, that was a problem for me. I didn't have as much discipline as I should have had. I mean, I had it, but then I kind of just let it go. But I think that is very important. I think that's what guys are looking for, because I know my husband mentioned it to me after we were married. He's like, you had all that discipline before. What happened? So I do think that's important, and try to maintain it if that's something you're able to do. And what else did he say? Discernment related. Oh, I also like, when I know this is not the list, but when he had a young lady on this episode, there was a young lady he talked to before who was like 29 or something. He asked her all the questions like your height, weight, and dress size, and she was like 39 at the time, size 12, 140 pounds, 5'7" or something like that. And I think he was trying to drive it home, because she was like, I want a high value man. He was like, but why? Because she rated herself a 5. And I think he was trying to let her know, you're an average woman, average looking woman. Why are you wanting the top 10% when he broke it down? And I think he was kind of focusing on the fitness. He's like, well, if you're not going to do anything to keep yourself fit, why do you think? So that's just another thing. I thought that was a good comparison. He had a lot of good comparisons in that first conversation with that young lady. And I kind of thought that kind of related back to the fitness part. But the main thing that I thought about in looking at myself is just like the discernment and the discipline and the dedication. So it's hard for me to dig deep to get that discipline back, but it is possible. You just might have to work hard. But I think if I had kept it up at the time, it might not have been so hard. But either way, he made a good point, and I thought that was relatable. So I thought I'd mention that. And that was my take on his thing on fitness. Thank you.
Okay, so Hermisha, I know this one is near and dear to your heart as well. What do you have to say about fitness as a high demand woman?
It takes us crucifying this flesh. That's what it takes. I mean, it really does. It takes you training yourself and beating yourself in submission, saying no to that thing, whatever that thing is for you. And sometimes you're going to give in. Well, many times you will give in, but you get back up. And so, that was me. And y'all know I'm on the journey. And in my last relationship, I was at the highest I had ever been. And now a lot of that was stress. A lot of that was just some of the pains and stuff that I was going through. And then on the other side of that, it's coming off. But it also takes discipline to maintain that and to continue to allow that to come off, to be, again, the healthiest version of yourself. And by that, also being the best version of yourself. For me, being able to function and move, and I have 2 little ones and all the things, and have the energy I need. So again, it takes really, really, you know, if that includes getting into a program. I've hired multiple coaches that have taken me each phase of the 25 pounds that I've lost along the way down to about now 60 lost. Last 20 I'm shedding. 25, maybe 25, ideally 30, believe it or not, because again, I'm doing a different type of training to compete. But I have about 20, 25 left. But it takes a lot of structure. And so for me, hiring people, putting my money where my mouth is, to have that accountability where I can say, this is what I ate this week, or I didn't do that hack squat. I don't like hack squats. Those of y'all that train hack, I don't know. I don't understand how people do hack squats. um, you know, I like the Smith machine. That's my favorite. But being able to be accountable to your routine and have to check in with somebody, you do what you got to do. If you have to hire people to do that, to invest in that, because it's something about putting your money into something that it kind of, you show up a little bit different, right? Uh, Ebony says she hates burpees. I actually love those. I actually grown to love those now. But so again, that type of discipline, what it's doing to you, it's building character, and that's the stamina really you're going to need in a relationship. When things get hard, when things get tough, are you going to have the discipline to be that anchor for your spouse at the time where maybe he's struggling? Or are you going to also fall by the wayside as well? This is where these character traits kind of really manifest themselves in relationships. So we're talking about fitness, but really that's the exterior piece. A lot of these things are internal qualities that are going to sustain a healthy relationship. And really the big umbrella here, you all, is we're here to, promote wifehood and healthy marriages and healthy relationships. So all the concepts that we're sort of elaborated on, that Kevin's taught about, but also that we have lived ourselves and are living, is so that you can be that healthier person in whatever relationship, a long-term relationship that leads to marriage or so forth, right? It's about building healthy relationships. And so again, it's nurturing those character traits, and the fitness is a big piece of the puzzle in that, along with the other things that we're going to talk about.
Absolutely. I know Lisa touched on discernment a little bit, but I want to move on to discernment. I think it was rolled up as part of his fitness, but I do want to touch on this one. And ladies, discernment to me just means good decision making. And that's so important. Even though we talk about, happily submitting and letting men lead, before you are a man's wife, you have to be able to demonstrate that you can take care of yourself. You can pay your own bills. You can make good decisions about how you spend your time, what you eat, the friends that you hang around with. Because, men are always watching, and I've learned that, and oftentimes they're watching from afar. We have some that are in our community that are always watching, and they will quietly observe for a while and then decide to, either approach maybe or disqualify you. And a lot of times, women are like, yo, well, where are the men? And what about this? And what about that? Well, showing up as the best version of ourselves requires that we use discernment. So, ladies, again, my advice would be, if we wouldn't do that, if we were Mrs., let's not do it now. Let's watch our language, all of the things that we've been talking about, having to have that last word. So, again, for me, discernment, I think Kevin used it in the fitness umbrella, which is really important because, do we really need that extra helping? The holidays are coming up, or, a couple bites enough. Believe me, that's a struggle for me. So I just wanted to call that one out as one of the things he talked about is discernment. Lisa, did you have anything on discernment that you wanted to add?
My note for discernment was when he talked about it, I was just like, husband can trust you with things. He trusts your judgment. and I don't know, for some reason I was thinking of being a virtuous wife, something that I learned about in scripture. So that's what came to mind when he brought that up. But I agree with everything that's been said so far.
All right, Hermisha, what about you? Anything else on discernment?
Yeah, I mean, we're all kind of echoing the same thing. But even what Lisa just said about scripture on being a virtuous woman, I just think of that she was a discerning woman, right? I think about Abigail sticks out to me, where she acted. The passage says, those of you who remember this, the passage says that she acted quickly because King David was going to go and destroy her husband, and for rejecting his offer of help, for rejecting him. Anyway, in that situation, we see a woman who on one hand, if you look outsider looking in, you're like, what is she doing? Is she usurping authority over her husband? Is she not being cooperative? But no, she was exercising good judgment to act quickly to save her household. So I use that as an example to say we need good judgment, ladies. We need to be able to read the room. We need to be able to know when to intervene, when to fall back, when to initiate, and when to just stay quiet and pray, or just smile and nod. So it's all about discernment. So that's all I have to say about that.
Awesome. Okay, so the next one that was on my list, one of my favorites, is affectionate. So again, we're going down the list of the qualities that Kevin Samuel said in his most recent stream. What are the qualities of a high demand woman? And this one I have to say is easy for me. The fitness is hard for me, but do you show your man that you care? Are you loving? Kevin talked often about, I think it was like soft eyes or smiling or something like that. But sometimes, we get so caught up in our, responsibilities, our jobs, or whatever. Maybe our natural personality is just a little bit cold. Either way, you need to have that self-awareness. And if for nobody else in your world, definitely your man should feel like he is incredibly special to you. I compliment mine all the time, tell him all the things that I think are great about him. And then, however you show affection, sometimes it could just be, sitting down on the couch. I have my laptop, he has his laptop, we're both working or whatever, and I just may reach over and grab his hand or whatever it is. You can express yourself however way that you want, but affection is really important, ladies, because men have to be so controlled and so disciplined out in the world. I think it's a beautiful thing if you create the type of space that they can come home to, or when they see you, it's warm and welcoming, and you greet them and let them know that you are so appreciative of them. I think it goes a long way. So however you show affection, allow me to encourage you. Men love it. So definitely do that. Lisa, what would you say about affection?
I think affection is very important. As someone who's been in therapy and had to be reminded of this at some point, like, people in your life need affection, my husband being one of them. One of the ways that the therapist helped me get back to, showing that affection, because I kind of got away from it, is like, uh, my husband would take a picture of me when I was up in a mood or something. And he'd be like, you see yourself? You see how you're looking? You see how you're mean muggy? He'll take a picture of me and be like, look at this. And I have to sit and think. And I'm like, oh, I don't look, I mean, I could be all dolled up, but my face is just, so it's just the fact that I had to take the time to sit there and look at myself and be like, bring myself back to a place where I don't know what I would get worked up about. I just would. So it was times like that where he had to show me that. And the other thing, the other side of affection is when he talked about this, about, your man wants affection. Like, I know my husband wants affection. Like when I think I mentioned before, he went on a guy's trip. He was so happy to get back home to, me cooking and the way I keep the house comfort, because wherever he was at, somewhere tropical, it was a bunch of dudes, and it just wasn't the comforts of home and that affection and the love. And so, sometimes we have to be reminded too, because I know a lot of us, we mean mug, we shoot dirty looks, we're mad, but we can't stay that way. And so that's another reason of being mindful and have that mindset. You know what? I don't have to do this. I could reset, and that's my role in the house. So that's the two things that came to mind when he mentioned that. Being affectionate, because with the stress of the world, health, illnesses, whatever you have going on in your life, you can get away from it. You can just run around and be mad all the time, and people are gonna in your life are gonna take notice. And it took for me to for a therapist telling my husband, show her how she looks. She could be the bomb diggity, but she's got an attitude and a mean mug, and nobody wants to be around that. Not even your husband. And so that's what it took for me to see that. So that was very important. I thought that was a good point that he brought up.
So good. All right, Hermisha, what would you like to say about affection?
I love affection. I do. And I've grown to love it. Let me back up. I realize, again, reflecting on my relationship of being married, there was a lot missing there. And, I think that we did the best we could with what we knew how then. And, when there's stress and trauma, it's hard to be affectionate because it quenches you. But when you heal on the other side of that, you love affection. So I got to be honest, you guys, I'm excited. I just want to kiss my new husband. I just want to kiss and just hold hands and lollygag and skip into the lily field. You could tell I enjoy this, but truly, I think affection is beautiful. We need to show affection in a marital relationship, in relationships in general, right? With boundaries, of course. Um, and what I see also in my practice is there's also a lot of folks who struggle with this in marriages. There's sexless marriages. I couldn't believe it, y'all. A sexless marriage. My. Right? But people are living this and or have belief systems around affection and touch, and there's a lot of sensitive things around what quenches people. And so on that point, I would say, definitely do that inner work, hire a professional, lean into that if that's causing you to withhold affection in your relationships, because it can really, really, really hurt your spouse, hurt a relationship. So, and the other thing I would add on that, affection is more than just physical touch. Men love physical touch, but also affection could be your words, how you speak over him, how you affirm him, and how he affirms you, right? So, ladies, use your words. A lot of men, don't hear that they do a good job. They don't hear what they're doing well. I had a client today. I encouraged her. She says she's engaged and she's going to call off the engagement because what he's not doing for her and all the things. And her love language is acts of service, and so she's stressed holding down the house and all the things that she's doing, and he can at times miss her in that triggers her to be very critical to him. That triggers him to retreat and cue the cycle, right? Critical, retreat, she's more critical, right? So her work is, how can I express what I need from my soon-to-be husband by first leading with, what do I see that he does well? Can I affirm that, baby, I enjoyed the fact that you took initiative to take our daughter to ballet practice, and that freed me up to be in this therapy session with a Black therapist. She laughed when I said that, because it's true. It's hard to find Black therapists. But to that point, I said, that's an example. Lead with what he's doing well, because men don't hear what they're doing well. They hear a lot of what they're doing wrong, or they hear a lot of what they need to do, right? So again, to that point, we part of affection is also how we're affectionate with our words.
Fantastic. All right. The next one on my list, and we talked a little bit about this, but Kevin talked about being accommodating. Again, this is the list that he talked about for a high demand woman. And it kind of goes in with cooperation, but to me, cooperation is like equal. We cooperate, we work well together. Where accommodating to me, is a little bit more on the submissive side. Do we always have to have it our way? And it doesn't have to be anything big. Do we always have to see the movies I want to see? Do we always have to go to the restaurants I want to go to? Or am I going to sit there, with my lips poked out? So being accommodating is something that hopefully we learned, growing up, if you had siblings and had to share or whatnot. But if somehow you got to adulthood and you think everything revolves around you, allow me to share. Ladies, we don't always get it our way. And, it's one thing to be told we're not going to be able to do this and respond well. It's another thing, and I would say even a skill, to offer submission. Babe, I know, look, why don't you pick what we do tonight? I know we're always going out. I know you prefer to just stay in. Let's just do that. You've done so much for me. Let's just do what you want. I'll make something and we'll just do a date night at home. Just being accommodating and thinking about your man in a way that you can be of service to him and anticipate his needs. Men go a long time not getting what they want. So the few times that you can get in front and just offer them what they want, so that what they want, so they don't have to ask, and just accommodate their requests, I think it goes a really long way. So that was a great quality for a high demand woman. Lisa, what would you say about being accommodating?
Accommodating is very important. When I think we did a photo shoot, we had to talk about what kind of wife we are. I think mine was accommodating. But before I go into why I liked accommodating, I really liked the way Kevin described when he tried to give everybody an example of an accommodating wife, because I was like, that is right on. I'm not going to go into how he said it, but if you go back and watch the replay, you'll see. But I totally agree with what he said, and I think that's kind of I was like, okay, I'm right on with that. That's the kind of wife I am too. But anyway, so what I wrote down for accommodating, besides what Kevin said, because I totally agreed, was you're happy to please your man, you're humble, and you're suitable. Something like humble, suitable, sophistication, he said. Wasn't sure about all that, but I think the accommodating part, it's not, I don't believe it's just total submission, but I think what Maggie just said, you try to get ahead of something if you know he likes that and he's especially excited about it or something. Or like I had a trip I wanted to go on, a cruise or something, and then we just couldn't do it with his timetable or whatever. And I was really excited about it, but I'm like, you know what? There's more trips and cruises or whatever to go on, as long as, we can hang out or do something or not do anything at all. But my husband's treated me before, and maybe this will give him an opportunity to treat me again and vice versa. So just being accommodating, because I could have just had just had been mad about it and pissed off about it. But no, what's the point, So I think being accommodating has to do with all that. But again, I really like the way Kevin put it. So y'all go review it again if you don't know what I'm talking about, but I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And thank you, Bella Rings, for the 199. We appreciate the support so much. All right, Herbisha, what would you say about being accommodating?
I think, off the top, accommodating is you just it almost can go right along the side with being cooperative, right? And it's a laying down of your will, in a sense, where like, I'm going to accommodate you, I'm going to be gracious. It involves being gracious, it involves being flexible, but these character traits involve trusting the man that you're with. If we're withholding cooperation, withholding accommodations, we don't trust the person we're with, right? We're sort of like the kid in the corner with the ball. Nope, I'm not going to share because I don't want to. I don't trust you. It's my way or the highway type of thing, right? So I think that, you're really accommodating someone's maybe their preferences, as an example. This is a big one. Temperatures in the home. Some people like it 55, others like it 75. Can y'all, who's going to accommodate? Where's the compromise, right? 55 is cold though. Oof. I hope I don't know what nobody that wants 55. Need some socks and a sweater. No, I would accommodate to, we can talk about, maybe, can we do 60, 65? But you're showing some grace in that, and that was a loose example, you all, but you know what I mean. You're not holding so firmly things, and all of these are just doing these things out of love, right? You're not a doormat. We're not talking about that. Your opinion matter, your thought matters, but when you're in a relationship, it's just not all about one person. And the biggest thing I know, when you have a good man, when you are cooperative, when you're submissive and you're accommodating, you're all those things, right? As a virtuous woman, as a good woman, look, the man will bend over backwards for you. He's going to do what he needs to, because he's operating in his role as a man, as a headship, as a provider, as all of the things, as a being generous, right? And so really your role is just to just love the man, love him, just love him, and be gorgeous and smart and have good judgment and brush your teeth and floss. And there you go. And watch that man just love on you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Hermisha. Nobody could say it like her. Speaking of loving your man, the next one that we had on the list of Kevin's qualities for a high demand woman that I captured was naturally nurturing. This one is another one that's easy for me, but I do realize that it's not for a lot of women, and it makes me sad. I've talked to women in consults where it's just like, yeah, I'm not that. I'm not really nurturing. I'm not really loving. It's a tall order to ask someone to just, take you as you are, hard and tough and rigid. I would offer that it is something that you can work on, just like fitness and some of the other things, if it's not easy for you. But men are, if you think of primal times, men go out and they slay the dragons, and the women traditionally, would keep the home fires burning. And I know we live in the modern world and we work or have worked, and, things are different now, but when you have those memories, a lot of us, of maybe your mother or your grandmother, even if she was a PhD. My mom, both of my parents are PhDs, but my boys think of Nana as, she's going to cook whatever I want, right? So whether it's cooking, whether it's plants for some of you, whether it's taking care of animals for some of you, find a way to tap into that loving, nurturing side. And to me, nurturing just means cultivating and creating a space where something can grow and flourish. We talk about relationships here, but you could transfer it to other things. But Kevin had often said this, as women, the responsibility for keeping, the love alive and keeping that relationship going is on us, right? A man has to be on his purpose, and then we are in support of him. So each relationship is different. You'll find ways to do that, but that naturally nurturing is something that men notice, and it's something you can do silently without even have to say anything. Maybe that he wants to watch the game and he wants fresh popped popcorn and a Coca-Cola, and before he asks, you just have it there so he can watch the game, whatever it is. But I really love that naturally nurturing. Lisa, what would you say about that?
Um, yeah, I guess I do see people in the world where I think being naturally nurturing is tough. And I can see where this could be an issue. So, like, watching shows like Kevin and getting the help you need is useful, because this would be an issue, because I mean, that's what we're meant to be, nurturing, because like you're going to be the one at home with the family and making it homey and all that. So I don't, so, to hear people say it's really hard for me to be nurturing, um, if that's what a man's looking for, I wouldn't want to be the opposite of whatever not nurturing is, or whatever nurturing is. So I agree with what he said about being carefree, like the way he described what is nurturing, like being carefree and it's not an issue. Um, And I also really agreed with when I thought about, how do you describe nurturing? He said abundance of hope. I was like, wow, that's about right. I think I'm a good nurturer, and I'm very hopeful. But I do see a lot of people who are kind of negative and stuff. So I would think, not saying all people are negative, but the people in my world that I know that kind of, to go by what he's talking about, I was like, yeah, I wouldn't call them the most nurturing people when I think of their characteristics. It's kind of like what he was saying. They have a hard time with um, caring about people or reading the room or just being like welcoming. So that's the best I can do for nurturing. I hate that as an issue for people, but if it is, it's something you can work on, like Maggie said. Uh, you got to put a little effort into it, just like with fitness and other things. But I think it's doable. So good luck with the nurturing.
Absolutely. What about you, Hermisha? What do you have to say about being naturally nurturing?
I think that's connected to, and Lisa hit on it, is that never losing that childlike awe and wonder, that childlike hope and carefree, not being childish, but having a childlike, carefree, hopeful disposition. I think that is that's what I would say that nurturing is. I think we naturally, our brain associates nurturing as being that comforter, and that's part of it. But that internal carefree, um, flexible. I mean, I think about my children. They're getting older. My daughter is 9.5, and she called me bruh the other day. I said, "Wow." She said, "Bruh, remember where you put your keys, bruh?" It's like, whoa, sweetheart, mommy's not a bruh. Again, kids are influenced around their environment. Uh, but she still has this carefreeness with her. So on one hand, she's mimicking what she's seeing at school, which is all new because I used to homeschool them. So they're all in the public school now. Nothing against public school, but your kids are influenced by people around them, right? And the peers around there. But she when I see her with our pet or when she's with her sister, she's just this creative, you know, drawing unicorns and just this awe and wonder, or this creative piece of her that I'm like, wow, I don't want her to ever lose that as she grows up, just this carefree part of her. And so that's what I'm noticing. And so, but yeah, that definitely was corrected. I was like, no, we don't say bruh. I am your mother, I'm a woman. But to the point of the carefree piece and being childlike.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, these kids, y'all, you are not alone. So,
Hey,
the
Maggie,
last,
got one more thing.
absolutely.
When he was, I wrote a note to myself when he was talking about that naturally nurturing. I remember something. Um, if we're out on the market, if we've been dating for a while, or we're in our later 30s, or hitting the wall, or whatever he calls it. Um, when he's saying like, what kind of women are the ones? Because at the beginning he was talking about certain women are taken out the market because the reason why they are these, what do you call them, high value women? They don't last long on the market. You're usually married by a certain age, right? But what I want younger women to listen to us, because we have a younger audience as well. If you don't want to run into some of these issues, like being naturally nurturing, you might be naturally nurturing when you're in your 1920s early, but if you get to 35 or the danger zone, you might have lost some of that naturally nurturing, because like Hermisha was saying, you've lost that awe and that wonder of the world. You kind of been out there for a while. So I think it's important to realize that if you're younger and you want to stay in this category that he's calling a high valuable woman, it might behoove you to um, find your person a little early in life instead of waiting, because some of that wonderment is going to rub off. So I think that was a good point. I had wrote it, so I just wanted to share that.
Absolutely. All right. Well, the last one that I have on my list from Kevin's list of high demand women is, I have it over here, takes pride in being a woman. I love this one. And what he was talking about, the way he described it is realizing that we are different. I always say that we are not equal. We are equally valued, but men and women are very different. And as a boy mom, when you see little boys and just the way that they're rough and tumble and just the things that they do, and then you see them becoming young men and older men, grown, it's completely different. We're just born that way. And I think what we can do and what I've learned to do is to really embrace it and really lean into the things that make me a woman. That is our superpower, ladies. My man always says, you're already feminine. Just stop fighting it. So lean into your femininity, lean into being, the best version of yourself. Don't try to, like I say, a lot of women, especially as professional women, we think we need to compete with men as men. And I've learned, like, even in corporate spaces, you can still maintain, being a lady and still get the job done. So I feel very passionate about that. But I think it is really refreshing when you see a woman who is, very confident, not in an arrogant way, but she knows who she is as a woman and she's not trying to be anything other. So, ladies, allow that to encourage you and celebrate the things that make you uniquely a woman. Not that we're better than, but we're different. And that means that we also respect men, just the way they are. We don't try to change them. They're loud, they're, rambunctious, they're physical, sometimes a little messy, but they're men and they carry, I have such admiration and awe for what they're able to do because we're built different. We're built differently. They can take it for the long haul. And, I always say women my age, we naturally slow down and it's okay because what did Kevin say? That pressure is built for shoulders and not hips. So that's what I would say on our last point. Lisa, I'm going to come to you. What would you say about taking pride in being a woman?
You better take pride in being a woman, because if you want a man and he wants a woman, if you're not acting like a woman, he don't want you. I mean, I don't know. If you're not taking pride in being a woman, I don't know how you expect, if you're here to find a man or something, what you expect to do. But I think taking a pride in being a woman is very important. Being feminine, being agreeable, all the things we talked about. But if you're not, then you might as well join the other team. But it is important. It is important to take pride in yourself. And I don't know why this bothers me so much. I guess because it's the state of, I think Bella Rings put out a video a few weeks ago, because I don't watch TV and all the stuff, and they had those the women, that the hip hop ladies, and the stuff they're singing about, that I really just couldn't believe, and I was just so disappointed to hear that that's what kids and young adults are listening to now. Some of these rappers or whatever they are, and to me, I don't see how they're taking pride in being a woman, and they're really making women look, black women anyway, look bad. So this one, I don't know, this one kind of hits home for me, because I do take pride in representing for myself, my husband, my family, and black women in general. So this one is really important to me. So if I sound a little peeved about it, it's just because the state of affairs right now makes me speak out this way. But it's not all the hope is lost. We can do something about it, and we can be examples, and we can, say there's a better way, and provide that for our young women, young adults, to do better. So, but taking pride in being female is very important. So I'll leave it there.
All right. And Hermisha, what would you say about taking pride in being a woman?
I know it sounds so simple, right? It sounds like, why do we even have to say that? But you know, we do. um, because with a lot of things that we end up doing or being conformed to, whatever we're being influenced by, that promotes us being this sort of rough and tough, um, or that praises sort of this get the bag mentality and grind it till your hair fall out type of thing, as if that's I don't know, as if that's something that's what's the word, that's sustainable, and it's not, and it's not, we're not, again, we're not saying, don't work or whatnot. Of course we're not saying that, but don't ever lose the essence of who you were created to be, essentially, is what we're saying. you know um take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. I went and I was running late because I had a 90-minute massage. It was glorious. It was glorious. And enjoy just being a woman, doing things that make you feel like a woman. I'm into all kinds of oils and fragrances, more oils. Get your hair done, do your eyebrows, put some lip gloss on, put some heels on. Enjoy yourself, right? Um, get rest. That's part of being a woman. Get some good sleep. Eat a good balanced meal. Move your body. Stretch. You know, take up a cooking class. Learn a new skill. All those things that make you who you are. So, I will echo all of that.
Thank you so much. And thank you all in the chat for all of your comments. We will close this out and take our final lap. Again, the Wives Club is open to anyone who has a marriage mindset. We are here every Friday evening, usually 8:30 Eastern. I pushed it a little bit because I was at a chocolate making class tonight. So that was just something a little bit girly and fun. So we want to encourage you all. Like I said in the beginning, Kevin's channel, well, Kevin, there's nobody like him, but I'm so glad that not only did he leave us with such a catalog and his message lives on, but his channel is continuing to push out new content, I think, at least monthly. So we will be here to respond to that. So this video was the Godfather's advice. It was a compilation of several Kevin episodes. And if you fast forward towards the last like 10, 15, 20 minutes or so, you will hear him talk about what are the qualities of a high demand woman. And so if relationships are important to you, I would go through the list and check off yourself, where you're doing well and where you have opportunities, because we can all get better. Yes, absolutely. Chocolate Stream is coming up. Lisa, what final thoughts do you have?
Ooh, I'm just happy to be here. Happy to be back for another week. And I hope we get some people to join us on the panel in the coming weeks. We got some holidays coming up. We got some hopefully more interesting topics, or maybe some blasts from the past. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to it and I'm here for it. So thank you.
Absolutely. And Hermisha, any final thoughts from you?
Just happy to be here again as well. And all of these things. If you, as we were going over all of these, and you realize, I'm not quite there yet. It's never too late. Never too late to kind of lean into some of these things and grow, and learn and keep watching here. Maggie's got the finishing school. There's lots of resources here. I coach. I'm a therapist. There's tons of resources on YouTube. You got Lisa's experience we're sharing here. So this is just lean in and do what you need to do to be the best version of yourself. So that's all I have to say.
All right, everyone. Well, until the next time, we will see you all next week on the Wives Club. We always post the Kevin episode we're going to be responding to and a link to join the stream. You can always join us camera on or camera off, as long as you have a marriage mindset, whether you are currently married, formerly married, or want to be married. You're always welcome here in the Wives Club. So we'll see you all next time. Bye.